Elvis. I sleep with like
a new
fleece
persona?
gloves in the morning. Yo,
Yeah.
so good.
You have to be ready. If I could wear a ski mask, I would, honestly.
Yo, it's so
Oh my god. One of the ones with the
3 holes.
Yeah.
Just a thief in the corner, just
Oh my goodness.
man. It sounds
Yeah.
kind of S&M-ish.
What's S&M?
Rob's thinking of the leather ones.
Yeah.
With the zipper up the middle.
The gift mask.
Different podcast.
That's a different podcast.
I think we need a compilation of the openings. 'Cause
Yeah, I
they're
know.
always, every single time, like, oh, that's a different podcast.
That's a different demographic.
Yeah, very different demographic. Welcome to another episode of Modify with Trickfactory Customs. If this is your first time watching, my name is Elvis.
Brett.
Tim,
George.
Spencer.
George.
Just kidding, it's Rob.
George. I mean, your glasses kind of make you look like a Rob.
got an alter ego on
Red
there.
5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I just swapped it, doing like fashion changes. Oh my goodness. But if this is your first time watching, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're watching it on Apple Podcasts, also please leave the 5 stars reviews and so we can move up in podcasting. Also, if this is your first time listening, we are a custom fabrication shop here in Coquitlam, British Columbia, Canada. And we build a lot of cool cars. And so we started a podcast around talking about modified cars and broadening up the topics. Today, we're going to be talking about, I think it's going to be a really cool topic, which I think all of us can contribute to. You guys probably can way more than me because you guys are glorious and have way more experience.
Come on now.
You guys have way more experience in this than me because ever since I started working or before I was working here at TFC, I just used to use normal tools and I was like, oh, a tool is a tool and that's it. And sometimes that is not the case. And we're going to dive into what makes a tool cheap versus expensive because the amount of money you guys spend on tools blows my mind. Blows my mind. And so we're going to be talking about all of that today. And so with that said, before we dive into the topic of today, what have you guys been up to all week?
Working on Lambos.
Yeah.
Lambo.
Putting together, we finally got our delivery of parts for the Urus. So we had our lower A-pillar, our strut tower came in, couple small cosmetic pieces, but I think fitting that lower A-pillar was the highlight of this week, getting it welded up, fitted, everything squared up in the front with the strut tower. So now we
Corrosion
can,
protection, all that on the inside of all the structure. And
yeah. So
we
that
also
was
put
like
together
a big-
the Audi too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
The Audi. That's
the
right.
Audi
the
is-
S6.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
Doing
about
a
that.
full,
Or
like
the S6.
chrome delete and unjanking all that plastic dip and
Wait, they use plastic dip on that thing?
I don't know if
they
it's
use
some
trim black.
kind of rattle can.
I think it was
stuff.
just
yeah.
I think it was just
kind of
like
rattle
literally-
canish.
I think trim
Rattle
black
can,
spray is
trim
even
black.
nicer.
it was like a cheaper version of it, like a trim clad or something.
Yeah, definitely the 2-in-1s.
Yeah.
So,
it was
yeah.
really nice. It looked so good.
Yeah, even the grill, like doing because before they
It
just
still
used the
looks good,
same
Elvis.
can to
Oh,
do.
I mean, yeah.
He said it looked so
Yeah,
good.
it's not
Like
here.
it-
Is it
like
still
a-
here? Oh, it's still here. Oh, I thought it had left. That's what I was like. It looked, but it was really cool to see. It looks brand new on the inside and the outside because
Yeah,
I was like,
full
oh my
detail.
gosh,
Got
how
a
many?
full, actual, real detail on the car because he said he wanted it to look brand new. So we went all in on that with full interior shampoo on the leather and full.
Yeah, and all those
Coating.
little things that you guys did just made it look so
Like
OEM
even the
plus
engine
plus.
bay, yeah.
So nice.
Glorious.
Yeah.
I feel like I could cook a whole dinner on the engine bay.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
tight.
The engine bay got the full treatment. you
Oh
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that car was like a big highway car, I think. So a lot of road
Grime,
bugs, pitting here and there. The grill was mangled, so like all the spray painted areas were pitted. So it was like chrome spots
Showing
all
through,
over
yeah.
the black spray paint. So
Yeah.
I
What
guess
happens when you
that was
don't use
nice.
epoxy or don't sand anything?
Yeah.
It's gonna flake
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. What about you guys?
Rob can go first.
My whole last week was pretty much dedicated to the big old Thunderbird that we got in the shop. It's I started out with just making a dashboard, fit new gauges and heater controls and whatnot into it, and it's going a step beyond that. Now we're getting into constructing a complete one-off center console. We're deleting the factory air control system, like the, you know what I mean, the heater box, AC, putting a vintage air setup into it, and it's just kind of, and then like, if you haven't watched the last episode, remember the last episode we were talking about wiring?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Man,
Oh,
I gotta
my
tell
gosh.
you, some of the wiring that I found in the dash of this Thunderbird
You gotta drop some
is
B-roll
like
in.
legit, like giving me like,
Some trailer plugs in there.
man, oh, so many, so many.
No.
Buddy, I
gotta
thought
give it to them.
I
They
saw
are
one or
waterproof.
two, and I was like, oh my god.
Waterproof?
Waterproof in the under the dash.
So, anyways,
There's bigger problems.
so that's what I've been doing all week. It turned into being a bit of a big project, but it's a dope car, and the customer's a pretty dope dude. So looking forward to getting through this one though, because I want to get back on the Skylark. So
I know that is.
I want to
Yeah.
see that engine in that engine bay.
Yeah.
me too. Yeah, it'd be really cool to cut that hood apart
Yeah.
And just see that
and
blower
see that
sticking out.
blower sticking out
Yeah.
through the hood.
And if you
That's
don't know
gonna
what
be
we're
cool.
talking about,
Yeah.
we're building a 1,200 horsepower plus
12 plus.
1,200 plus horsepower to the wheel.
No,
or to
the motor.
Okay, at the crank. Okay,
Let's not
But
get wild here.
still
So-
crazy. Like we're building a Skylark that makes that much power, and so
Yeah, so what is that? I mean, that's a 427 cubic inch, 3-liter Whipple supercharged 427 monster
fully built
Wagner engine. So
And
it's
if you want to find out
awesome.
more about that, we made a full video about that, which you can check out at Trickfactory Customs, the full YouTube channel. And so, yeah, what have you been up to, Tim?
Getting projects jumped off, talking to customers, chasing stuff around because we could, again, in the last episode, we got all of our big motors. So now it's trying to get all that stuff organized and underway. So now we're reaching out, trying to get all the peripheral stuff that goes with it. Now that we got the big ticket items, we got to sort of start getting the next stuff and
Nice.
getting those ones jumped off, and then finished up some shocks for the Delahaye.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
So
that
that
was
was
a
a challenge
project.
because that thing is nothing on it makes sense.
Really?
Yeah,
That's awesome. So, in case for people that are wondering what a Delahaye is,
this one is
what is it?
No one knows.
This is actually the Le Mans prototype.
Okay.
So I think a year ago we went down to Colorado, picked it up. The original owner had it for 37 years. He worked on it.
Wow.
Couldn't complete it, so one of our existing customers bought it and now is finishing it. And then one of the major things on it is it had like a oil. It's like a coilover but built in reverse.
Yeah.
So it's inside of a canister that's like an oil bath. So what we did was retrofitted new style shocks and coils to the inside of that canister. So it's a pretty cool setup now.
Yeah, it's
It took a lot of work. It was like CAD design, CNC machining, SolidWorks, all these different layers to finally get it to where it is now.
I did not know we went through all of those processes.
So many
Oh yeah,
processes.
I mean, we had to have it. It's a legitimate part, and it's a very, very important part. The suspension system, super important. So it's like fully engineered, so it'll, all the right materials and the right thicknesses, and everything is designed so it's going to work really well.
But being a French car, it's like everything is wonky.
Oh, wow.
Everything's proprietary to it, right down to the thread pitches on everything. So like
Really?
every stage is like a roadblock. So I think it's probably taken us 8 months to build these shocks
Oh,
with all the different layers to make it work.
oh my gosh.
And then along the way, like we had custom made shocks, and they were involved in a flood, and we had to reorder
Oh,
and all
no.
kinds.
Yeah.
So yesterday was a big day to see. Brett painted them; they're hanging, they're ready to go. My part's done.
Noise.
So
For now, at least.
for now,
Yeah.
then it's going to come back, and we're going to hand form a body for it.
Yes, I mean, yeah, you probably haven't touched on that, but we have the whole body on this car doesn't even exist. It's
Yeah.
all aluminum. We have all the blueprints and everything for this body. So our customers basically starting with a chassis and an engine.
Well, there is a little bit of structure, no?
Some of the structure for the
of the
body
bulkheads
panels
have
were
been
like the
created,
bulk, the main bulkheads and
Like
stuff.
firewall
They were
and stuff,
they
right?
were made. So we're basically gonna hand making, some
pretty
In
we're
aluminum.
coach builders now.
Or aluminium.
Yeah,
Aluminum.
aluminum. Because we're fancy, right?
But it's been through like 7 different shops in 30
wow.
years. So
And what era is that car from? Like 30s?
the 30s.
Woo! That's going to be
And I
awesome.
think-
And what's that car
Okay, so I
worth?
mean,
Yeah.
Well,
The real
based on
question,
its
yeah.
history, they can't even put a
It's
value to it yet.
unestimated.
yeah.
Basically comes down to whatever somebody wants to pay for.
Dang.
It's probably a
Will five grand cover it?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Actually, the original
That's
owner
it.
paid $5,000 for it. well, I guess it'd be almost 40 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
And like the last one that sold, it sold for over $3 million.
Yeah.
So this one being the Le Mans prototype, like their mule car, it's
Way
could
more.
be like mid 3s, 4s, depends on the day you go to sell it.
Because you say you were who was sanding it down and finally saw like the old numbers, like the race car
No, different car.
number. Oh, different car. Okay.
Yeah.
It's also very
Related
cool
to that
though.
car.
Yeah.
It's also very cool.
Okay.
Same little world, but but these guys are like treasure hunters. Like I don't even know how you'd become aware of a project like this.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is it originated here in Vancouver, and then ended up in like. Finally, it ended up in Colorado, but it had been like California and a couple of other shops in the middle of the U.S. and then made its way up to Colorado, and then now it's back here to be finished.
Wow.
So
That's pretty awesome.
this thing's been on an adventure.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
with that said, we're just gonna dive straight in. So tools. I understand now that there are different types. There are obviously different types, but there are different classes, I'll say that, of different tools. And so who wants to start explaining the whole because it is sometimes very overwhelming when you look at the different classes of tools or what you can get at different various price points.
I think the most like the first like the biggest category for good tools is probably ratchets. Like why a snap-on ratchet is $150 versus go to Mastercraft and get a $20 wrench and do what you got to do.
Sorry for cutting you off there, but you mentioned Snap-on. So if you do not know, like again, I didn't know before I worked at the shop was what a Snap-on tool was. I did not know that even existed. So if you could define a Snap-on tool for people that might not know, what is a Snap-on tool?
Incredible.
Yeah, I would say they probably make the best ratchets in the world.
Oh, just ratchets?
No, they make.
We're
all
just
sorts
talking
of stuff.
about ratchets right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
I would say ratchets only. They probably make the best in the world.
They make a lot of specialty tools. They
Yeah.
make just a lot of high. All their stuff is very high quality. In my opinion, probably the best of the best. I haven't really used Mac stuff. I've used a couple of their things, but I
That's
find
because
it
you
to be a
can't
little
get a Mac
cheaper.
driver to come by.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, starting off in the trade, like or in any automotive trade, I don't think you just jump right into Snap-on. I mean, you probably start off with shitty tools and then you work your way. Or for me, I started using other people's Snap-on stuff when I was early in the trade, and then I was like, "Whoa, this is nice." And then you end up, saving up or working a deal with the guy, and that's how you just get your foot in the door, and and then you get your first tool. Like I think my first tool was a screwdriver, a ratcheting Snap-on screwdriver for like $90, and it was probably one of the best tools I ever bought.
Yeah, that's a good.
I love
That's
that.
a good tool.
It is like I don't even know why I have regular screwdrivers. It's like the only one I use. But
It almost
there's just,
seems
like,
as if Snap-on ratcheting tools, like just overall in general,
they're designed.
they're the best.
the engineering behind it. all that,
The fineness of the teeth.
Ah,
is just
they're so-
insane.
they're
Like,
so
you can-
good.
Like that little tiny bit of movement, and it actually clicks instead of like most ratchets where you have to move it 3 inches for it to click once.
And I feel like I should mention that just so you know, this is not a sponsored Snap-on episode.
I wish.
It should be. For how much we spend on it,
I
should
know
be
it
sponsored.
should be, but I don't think they sponsor anybody.
They don't
need to.
nothing.
Yeah.
They don't need to. Their tools are too
I am
good.
sponsoring them.
I'll give you money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Literally.
just crazy. And so what makes a snap, like for example, like why can't I just get because I can go on Amazon
Well, I think
and get a
that-
ratcheting screwdriver.
The layers to it, again, from the business standpoint of it, the significance of Snap-on stuff is its lifetime warranty.
Oh, it is lifetime
So you're
warranty.
essentially
Okay,
buying
most.
it one time.
most things are.
90%.
Hand tools.
All
What?
hand tools are lifetime
That
warranty.
is cool.
And to their, like you could buy one from a flea market that's 30 years old and break it, and you could just be like, here, I need a new one, and they'll give you a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you don't need a receipt, you don't got to prove
That's
proof of purchase,
cool.
nothing. Like they back
They
their
stand
tools,
by their
like
oh
100%
my
by their
gosh.
tools, and they come to our shop. So just the convenience aspect of it is tremendous too.
Yeah.
So you just put in, you break something, you put it in a pile, it gives you a new one.
Oh my gosh.
You're not chasing around. You're not trying to do a bunch of paperwork and prove that you didn't break it doing something goofy. But they don't care. It's just
Yeah.
like no
They just
questions
change
asked.
it.
Here you go.
Another cool thing about them is like, yeah, their air tools and their electrical tools aren't on, lifetime warranty. They come with a 2-year warranty, I believe.
Because
You
those are
buy
like
new.
wear items.
They're wear items, but the cool thing about it is that they have a flat rate system. So if like I use my grinders and my sander a lot, like it's a tool we commonly use, my die grinders, my angle grinders, you know, and all those things. And I've had them replaced maybe 2 times now over the span of 8 years, but it's a tool that I use almost every day for 3-4 hours a day sometimes, right? So, I mean, the tools get abused, and the flat rate system on refinishing it instead of having to go out and buy a new tool every time saves a lot of money, and it's a high quality tool at the end of the day, like much more powerful than cheaper tools. And
if one's available, they'll give you a loaner
Oh, nice. Okay, that's cool.
while yours is out being repaired.
So a lot of things with Snap-on minus the build quality is also the customer service.
Customer service and
I think
convenience.
it's a part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big
yeah.
one.
If you have a good guy on the truck.
Yeah.
Like our guy is great. And most people say their guys are great, but like there's other companies and brands that it's like the
Don't
opposite.
stand by their product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was telling you a story earlier about Mac.
Yeah. So, if you don't know what Mac is another company
Mac Tools,
that makes tools as well. But their stuff is also, because with Snap-on, their stuff is more expensive than the average tool. Like some of them is
it's a
almost
lot more
unreasonable.
I mean, Mac, but Mac is right up there, right behind
Is Mac
Snap-on
more expensive
in
than
cost.
Snap-on?
I would say in cost, it's close.
Probably
I'd
close.
say
But
it's-
I just
it's-
don't think they have the customer service support that Snap-on does.
So what's your Mac story?
Oh.
Yeah, just give us.
Okay.
Gotta air this one out.
So I had to buy a timing light, and it took me I had to call the Mac guy to get him to come to our shop. So I jump on the truck, I buy a Snap-on or a Mac timing light. I think it was probably $500 or $600.
But at
So-
the time, that
Yeah.
was a lot of money.
That was
Yeah.
a lot of money.
Because that's how many.
Yeah, it's a heavy
Yeah,
investment.
that's probably
But
this.
now it's a lot of money. I'm like,
For real.
So this thing breaks, and then I'm trying to get it warranted. I'm calling the guy on the truck. Nobody shows up. So finally, I get frustrated, and Nick, our Snap-on guy, he started coming around once we opened our new location. So I was like, I need a timing light. He's like, okay, I'll sort you out. Sells me a timing light, and then I was like, this Mac light's probably worth getting fixed and sell it or whatever. So because I couldn't get a hold of anybody, and I called customer service, and I did all this trying to get them to send me out a Mac driver to pick this thing up, nothing. I took the Mac timing light and I put it in the Snap-on timing light box, and I sent it back to Mac.
oh no!
And they were not impressed with me.
That was the last time we seen
Oh
Yeah,
no!
they're not happy. We've never seen a Mac driver ever since.
Spencer brought the Mac guy to the shop not that
Oh,
long
he
ago.
was driving by.
Oh my gosh.
Because he used to come to my old shop.
Yeah, yeah.
He would just come.
He
and
came
just
in the
chat.
shop and saw 3 Snap-on toolboxes and got
Like, I'm leaving. Bye.
He just turned tail and walked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, snap on like
That's
it's all
Yeah.
fucking glowing in the corner. It's like,
So I guess you guys don't
Yeah.
own any tools. eh?
yeah.
Yeah, and then like talk to us about like Snap-on boxes, because I feel like that's a huge. I still don't understand why they cost so much. And
I
so
can kind of break that down for you.
And so what? So for those that are wondering, what does a standard Snap-on toolbox cost, or what's the price range?
Wow.
Let's use that. What's the price range? Because
I mean, they start like it
I only
depends
have
if
one
you're
kidney left, so
it depends if you're talking like toolbox or tool cart, right? Because you can get carts that people use as boxes as well that are fully lockable with drawers and top lid and everything and little side tables. Like Tim has one of those, like it's a service cart, but also like you can use it as you take it to the job, do your job type thing. It's pretty nice. I mean,
That's
like
super
those
handy, yeah.
those can start at like I think the cheaper ones are what $2,000. Probably.
Yeah, $2,000.
That's a cheap one.
Well, if you could do the Blue Point one, I think it starts.
Well,
at,
yeah, but if you
Oh
go,
my
if you
We're
go
just talking
Snap-on,
Snap-on,
it's like
yeah.
$3,000 a month.
even Blue Point is still pretty good though.
Blue Point's pretty good.
Yeah,
though.
Blue Point's
that
pretty
is mine. Because I'm used to. I'm like, oh, you see something at Harbor Freight, the toolbox is like maybe $1,200.
It might look like
for
a Snap-on
big,
box, right?
massive
Until you put
toolbox.
tools in it, you can't open the drawers anymore.
Close the drawer, the left side opens faster. You're like, what
That's
the fuck?
another reason why these boxes cost so much is that each drawer can support like 300 pounds of tools.
Oh, each drawer. Oh,
Each
wow.
drawer, yeah, the
okay.
slide-
Yeah, our
are
big
designed
box
for that.
is like
Yours
the
is
big
even
drawer
more,
is
I
like
think.
800 pounds.
Oh, each one?
Yeah.
One box?
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool.
But another
Yeah.
nice thing about it is you can move the box around and on uneven surface. You don't have to worry about twisting or creaking and breaking. It's built really strong, really, like it's durable. It's a super durable product.
Yeah, like we were just moving around some of my old Husky toolbox
The things
not long
literally feel
ago.
like they're gonna fall over.
And you were like all sketched out because the thing was like feeling all top heavy. You're like,
It
oh,
was
this thing's gonna
teetery a little bit. You could feel.
you know, we got
you could feel
a
the
beautiful
welds moving.
concrete floor, and it's still sketchy moving those things around. But like
And they're
a
nice
snap-on
toolboxes,
box,
so they do what they got to do. I mean, but
everything about it is built with better gauge materials. The casters
are unreal.
are
Casters
are
friggin'
crazy,
unreal. man.
And the cool thing with the casters is like they can lock out, so you can have them swivel or you can lock them straight. You know, there's little things like that. And they're like just heavy duty. Like,
But they've gotten pretty wild now. Now you can get LED lights,
Oh,
remote control
Whizzy stuff.
locks.
Yeah,
there's
keyless
like a
entry.
keyless fob.
Oh,
keyless
shoot.
entry fob.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually
Put an
crazy,
alarm
yeah.
system on
Plus
there.
you
in
got
the car.
power tops with plug-ins.
Yeah, but
and
you gotta
everything
think that
about
these-
is better.
A lot of these toolboxes cost more than people's cars.
Yes.
So
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
like
Yeah.
much more
It's
than
an
a new
incredible
car.
investment.
like
Some of them.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, it still blows my, because when I saw Snap-on, like when I saw your Snap-on box, I thought it came with all the tools. I was like, this is perfect for the amount of money that you're paying.
Oh, this is coming full of tools.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, man, it doesn't even have liners. I think.
I'm like, oh, perfect. And then he told me the price, and then
Came with
that it
stickers.
didn't come with any tools, and I almost passed out. And and so I still am yet to. I mean, I know, yes, it is built superiorly.
Yeah.
Well, but I still haven't made up my mind on
So-
if it's worth it or not.
Superior build quality, customer service, all that stuff aside, like one of the main things that is recognizable after purchasing, making one of these major investments in a Snap-on box, as an example, is the visual impact that has on not only yourself, but your customers coming in. They see that
'Cause
they see you as like like you take yourself seriously as a legitimate, worker, and like you get a sense of pride in that yourself.
you
even.
do though, right? Because it's like these boxes aren't cheap.
No.
It's an investment in yourself, in your career, right? Like there's a lot to it, and it's something that you're using every day of your life almost.
We had a customer come in one time to work on his Ducati.
Okay.
And at that time, I don't think we had Husky boxes, but we had decent tools. We had everything we needed to do to get the job done. This is in the early days. And then he asked, he's like, do you have Ducati tools?
What
I was
the
like,
Ducati tools?
and we never ended up doing the job. So like now, basically our tools now, like the transition from going from that to this, nobody questions us anymore. Like we went from working on normal stuff to like Ferraris, Lambos, all the craziest shit. Why? Because we got a Snap-on box. So People's Association immediately is like, this guy knows what he's doing.
These are the Ducati tools.
These are the kind of tools. This guy knows his shit.
Yeah.
And in theory, you're not going to invest in that level of tools and box until you do know your shit. Because this is your life now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is, our box is probably worth more than your Ferrari.
Like, yes, quite a bit actually, which is just mind blowing.
Everyone comes in here and goes crazy about the cars. It's like, that's
No.
the cheapest thing in the building, man.
Because I think on some of the videos that we've had on like TikTok or even Instagram, when we're talking about the cars, people are like, no, that toolbox.
Yeah,
is way
what about that box, man?
car. Yeah. Oh, that blows my mind.
One
Yeah.
thing with the box too, even for me, like as like a in like your apprenticeship stage, like that was like one of the goals I had was to get a nice box, because I went through my whole apprenticeship with like a Craigslist, rolling cart, like just to get me going. You know what I mean? And I was running out of space. Like I'm
But you
stacking
have-
shit on top
I
of
feel
each
like
other.
you have to start that way. You have to start
Oh,
that way, and then
100%, yeah.
you appreciate the nice things when you get them too. When you
Yeah, you can't buy a nice, $20,000 box and not know how to do shit, or like, you know what I mean?
it's backwards. You need
It's
to learn what you're
backwards,
doing,
yeah.
and then even figure out if you even want to.
You don't even know how to use the space in the box
Before
if
you
you're starting
invest.
off the box like that, right?
Yeah. You need to figure out for sure that's what you want to do though. Also, like because I've seen a lot of people come through the trade and they'll start doing it. They love it. They want to paint cars and they want to do this and they want to do
Just
crazy
go to the top,
artwork,
yeah.
paint jobs and all this different stuff. And then they actually start doing it and they're like, this is too much work.
Yeah.
And then I've seen people where it's not uncommon to jump on Nick's truck and see a brand new tool cart in there, and you're like, oh, what's the deal with this? Oh, I just got it back from the guy because the guy dropped out of the trade.
Wow. Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
super common, and
Okay.
you'll see it like, and then he buys it back essentially and sells it again, at a discount. So I'm just trying to wait until they get a gray one on there.
You already have a tool. Why do you need another one?
I want a tool cart now.
Oh, okay.
Never ends, Elvis.
Yeah, I know.
You constantly
can always
growing,
need
man.
more.
I got a lot of tools now.
Yeah,
One,
the boxes get wider
Yeah.
and wider.
Yeah, yeah.
It's either that or a side cabin.
Yeah.
Side cab.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And like talking of tools, it's also interesting. I didn't know this was even a thing, but you can finance your box like you can do it a car. Which
it
is
costs as
pretty
much as a
awesome
car, so-
because it
Costs
costs
much,
that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just think that's cool that you can do that. Like they don't just be like, oh, you have to pay up front.
If they did that, nobody would have anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
No, I'm not, it's an actual thing.
That's
Yeah,
true.
like it's
20K
literally
to
like
lump sum. to
Yeah, yeah,
buy
yeah.
something, I don't
Nobody's
think you're
doing
buying
that.
a Snap-on toolbox.
yeah, nobody's
Yeah.
doing that. Like, I mean, again, if you can, great for you. But like
Yeah.
most people in the trade, I don't believe are outright buying their toolboxes.
Which again is another sort of perk of Snap-on.
I think that's
is
so
they
cool.
they allow you to do that.
Helps you
So like
grow.
it's like a
Yes.
a
Yeah.
long-standing joke. It's like, you know, this much money every 2 weeks and the payment will never change
For the rest of
because
your
you're
life.
literally just always adding stuff. As soon as you finish paying off your truck account,
Like,
you're buying something else.
Yeah.
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 It's also when do you know when to get a good like Snap-on tool or whatever or nice tool versus because I know even Snap-on they don't make everything.
Oh,
And so
Oh, they do.
when do you
They-
know
they
when
make-
to
yeah.
They almost do.
Okay, so when do you know when to get that versus you getting like a cheap tool from like Amazon or like
I'll give you an
Mastercraft or
example.
Harbor Freight or something?
So like a couple weeks ago, I was doing that high pressure fuel pump on my Cayenne at the back of the engine, right?
Yep.
And like I couldn't use a full length ratchet in there,
Mm-hmm.
but Snap-on makes a mini, like that short handle, you know, that little super stubby one. It's
That
like
thing's
this
awesome,
big.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going in there, I'm like, I can do like full range, like, you know, hitting this bolt, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if I had any other ratchet, I'm like, tick, 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 tick.
Yeah, yeah.
tick, tick,
Yeah, if you
right?
can even catch one.
Yeah, exactly.
Like some of them, you need
Oh.
like 45 degrees of sweep just to catch
I'm
another
backing
two.
it out at that point.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh fuck, there's not enough teeth in here. I'm like, it's going backwards. Yeah. So I think then that I haven't like those specialty ratchets. I haven't seen anyone else make a mini Snap-on ratchet like
They
that.
make different types. They make those little handheld circle ones
Yeah.
that are reversible that just hold a socket, or you put an extension on it too, I guess.
Yeah.
And like it acts like that. But no, that thing's amazing because the teeth are so fine and
Teeth are fine, and like the
It's
way
just an
they
incredible
engineer
tool.
that little, like even though it's a
That
stubby
little
ratchet,
stubby,
little
yeah.
handle has like a little radius in there, so it fits
Fits your
inside.
thumb, yeah.
So you can like
Oh.
right, and like just little things like that. Like their engineering is actually, you can tell, you know, if you need it and you're using it, you can, and you're thinking of what you're doing. You're like, okay, they thought of this. You
Yeah.
know, they already thought of what you're doing somewhere else, right? And like
And
that's
it's
what
only
you're paying
$9 bi-weekly. Don't even
For
worry
the
about
rest
it.
of your life, it's $9 bi-weekly.
I'll pay that any day to not fucking hit 4 teeth on a ratchet.
But like another thing would be like if you're using a tool a lot,
Okay.
you don't want to be using a poor quality tool. You want to use the best tool you can if you're using it every day, and you want to be efficient at what you're doing. Because like for air tools, Snap-on's air tools are. I haven't used anything that can beat it yet. I mean,
that's a good point. Like especially a lot of people who are in like high volume, like production level work. Like you need reliable tools that will be faster, smoother, because those people are working against the clock. You know, like every like time is money essentially, right? So if I can have a ratchet that moves faster or a tool I know that can last me X amount of time, like it all adds up to your efficiency at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? Whereas if I'm using like some shitty tool, I'm getting choked, getting frustrated, you know, I don't have to deal
no, but
with
like
that.
like the air tools, for example, with Snap-on, they're like super powerful.
Yeah,
They
it's
have like
a
3/4 horsepower,
horse,
like
yeah.
1 horsepower on some of the bigger air tools. I don't think any air tool company out there is making anything equivalent to that.
No.
No.
And
my
it's
God,
just
rather
like it's
custom
just
metal.
beefy.
I said, hold
like,
my beer.
Yeah,
Go
but
to
it's just-
Amazon.
Prove me wrong, man.
Because
We'll do
I'm still
a
not at that
challenge.
level yet. And so whenever I look at the prices of these things, I'm like, nope, I'm just going to check
Yeah,
on
but you're
Amazon.
like still kind of where we were in the early days, where it's like single use.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I just need to get this thing off.
Yeah.
You're not looking forward like, hey, I got to do this probably 4 times a year for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and then for the shop, when you get 5, 6, 7 guys in there, you need to have one, because then it's getting used all the time. Whereas for yourself, like there's lots of things, like we've gone to Princess Auto or Harbor Freight or whatever you want to call it to get that one 37 mil socket. You're like, I'm going to use this thing one time, and that's it. Like I'm not going to pay whatever $200 for that socket
Yeah.
unless I know I'm
That's
going to
it.
be using it.
$200 for a socket?
Oh, probably more.
Yeah.
More.
What?
Sometimes, right? Especially those bigger ones.
But I
they
mean,
get-
for
they get
us, the
nuts.
other side of it is like the quality and the precision of the sockets and the wrenches. Like we're working on Lambos. You don't want to be stripping bolts out.
No,
You know
we
what I
were
mean?
talking
Talk
about
about
that just
precision
recently.
because I think that's an important point you make that I didn't even know when you mentioned something like a oh my gosh, what was it? Like a torque wrench, for example. So talk about like precision, like how does that change based
Well, there's
on
levels to
your
it. Even the
experience?
wrenches themselves. If you get a 14 mil wrench and you measure a snap-on, it's 14 mil.
Okay.
You go measure one of your whatever, pick a brand, Mastercraft. It's not 14. It's 14.2.
okay.
So
No,
it's just like a little bit.
I can't get on
Or a
board
little
with the
too
snap-on
tight.
wrenches.
Yeah.
You can't get on board with snap-on wrenches?
No.
Because
Why?
it's close enough sometimes.
Close enough.
14
For the
42
value.
is okay.
No, for the value is just so expensive for the
Yeah.
wrenches. It's a
Yeah,
lot.
it'd be like $600 for 6 wrenches.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Like,
Since we're,
that's-
since we're not mechanics,
$600 for 6 wrenches?
But-
I think I'm. I
No,
don't
it's
think I'm too
8
far.
maybe.
Oh,
like for the for the amount that I use open-end box wrenches, like I can't comprehend the value.
So that's
I
one
bought,
snap-on thing that you're like,
I think I bought my whole drawer is pretty big and quite a few wrenches. Like I think it's still cheaper than one set of the snap-on.
oh my
but that doesn't really change the fact that you'd get it if you really wanted it.
I could get it, but I just can't. I don't want it.
You can't
I
stomach
don't
it.
need it. I don't need it that
No.
bad. Like I'm
It's not
like,
necessary.
I got-
Some things aren't
Body.
necessary.
That's a difference.
No, but I still use them.
yeah, all the time.
You know, and I still do use them. It's not like I do a lot of stuff. I do everything.
I'm
Yeah,
a slob now.
I feel like some of them are okay. Some of it is justifiable, but something like when you just said freaking 8 wrenches for $600, I'm like, nah.
Bit much. They
yeah.
are. I'll give them this.
Oh my
The quality
gosh.
of them is really nice.
Yeah,
they
but-
look great. They feel nice in your hand.
when it comes
look
to
cool.
sockets, like for example, like they have a series called flank drive sockets, and I seen the demo where the snap-on guy has a stripped bolt, and he'll use a regular whatever socket, and it's just getting round, nothing.
Oh, okay.
But the way they engineer that the inside of the sockets, like he puts a flank drive on there, grabs it right away, and you can.
That
back it
is
off.
Well, you can
Actually
get
cool.
off actually strip
Okay.
bolts too, which is cool.
That's what I'm
why
saying.
I like it.
yeah. So that's what I was saying earlier about like, you know, if you're working, you know, your flat rate, for example,
Yeah.
you don't have time to fuck
Efficiency.
around with
No,
this stuff,
no.
right? Like, you know, if you have a flank drive, you don't have to worry about things like that. But you know, like I have a 10 mil, it's $50, but that's only a snap-on.
I have that one too.
Yeah,
That's a
it's-
fucking
and
sweet
it
socket.
sounds nuts, but for all the times that it saved me, I needed it, and just it's such a just brilliant.
But he's not explaining that it's an extra long, super deep 10 mil socket.
Oh,
That one's
okay.
almost like OEM specific. Like sometimes like Mercedes rear bumpers, like they have there's a stud on the bumper that goes through the end panel. It's like super long, and like if you don't have that tool, I don't know how you get.
Well,
that.
you would just do it with a wrench, I think.
Yeah.
Even because some they have like a access hole in
Panel,
the end panel to get to the bumper.
Yeah. You just close your eyes and feel
Hey,
like the.
if you're working against time,
Yeah,
you're
you
losing
can-
money, man. So you gotta spend the $50 to make the 100. You know,
Yeah.
in certain cases.
That's
right?
smart.
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
So that's where Snap-on comes in and saves the day a lot of
Well,
times.
and the sockets are nice because of the way they're organized too in their trays. Like I just love
Oh,
the
the
look of it. When you
magnetic
open your
trays,
drawer and you look at it, it just looks so awesome. That's honestly what got me on the sockets. At first, I was just like, they just look cool in the drawer.
But the
And then
engineering is there.
and then
for
you
sure.
start using them. You're like, oh, these are nice. Like,
Okay.
they're good quality.
And then what if Snap-on does not make a tool that you have?
Oh, you can submit
Or-
a form. They, you know, a
That's a
suggestion
thing?
box. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you were talking about that not
What?
long ago.
Because I really wanted to.
How does that work?
It's just I think I don't know the details, but
No, but he can get a lot of like Snap-on.
You can get a lot of off-brand
Yeah,
stuff because they've
Oh, true,
curated
yeah.
an entire catalog of what
strictly
the
for
supplementary-
specialty
is
parts.
supplementary
Yeah,
stuff
Wait,
from
well, I don't
other
understand.
brands.
So Snap-on has reference to other brands?
they
yeah,
become
like of stuff that they don't make,
retailers
they'll
for, like,
sell
What?
stuff that they've deemed to be of their level.
Okay,
And if
that's
he doesn't have it
interesting.
on his truck and KMS Tools has it in stock, he'll just walk across the street for us.
Or like for example, there's a company like Dent Fix. They do a lot of like auto body collision tools. Like they're from wherever. They can't partner with Snap-on, but Snap-on became a retailer or like a
okay.
distributor for a lot of
Nice.
companies just like that, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool that they know, like, we can't make this, and so they do that.
They're sales
because
guys. They'll get you
That's
anything,
nice,
right?
yeah.
If I wanted sushi, Nick would bring me
they don't-
sushi, I think.
They don't have levels to it. They only go on their level. Like they're not going to have 5 options of it. They'll go through 5
okay.
different producers and choose the best one
yeah.
and only sell their product.
Okay.
But weren't you telling me, Spencer, like, if you had an idea for a tool or some sort of like modification to something that exists that doesn't exist that they have even available, that if you submitted that, they could potentially turn that into a tool and then you start getting kickbacks for being like
That's
basically
Like royalties?
Yeah.
I don't know
What?
about royalties,
No,
but
I think it's
I
like
don't know.
I think they
Like
give you
fines or something.
No,
and
they give
get
you
the
like a
tool or something.
one-time fee. I think like it's like they give you like $1,500 I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
now
they
like,
give you
you
that's
invent
not
some
bad.
tools, right?
Okay.
If it makes it into production.
And you get the first tool, I think.
So
I think that's what it is. It's like
that's
you get the
pretty
first
cool.
one
That's
and
pretty
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of, especially like working in the trade, like people will come up with ideas all the time.
because those are the people that are doing this.
Those are the people like
and
that.
learning and
exactly.
experiencing what they need. And
Yeah.
Like, why is
Yeah.
there no tool for this?
Like that downdraft in our shop. I think that was invented by a guy who just wanted to keep the dust contained. So it's literally like a filtration system with air blowing downwards and this cycle that contains all your dirt and dust. That's just
But-
probably from a guy who just was like, I'm getting too fucking dirty here.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And that,
What do you
or
make
that, or
that
that
prototype
ratchet
out
you're
of?
talking about.
yeah, exactly.
You
Someone
know?
was like, oh, God damn it. I'm just like tired of just like 3 clips on here. You know, the bolts like this long and I get
Yeah.
3 teeth to work with.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of
If
things
the-
like
if
that.
the handle
right?
was only this shape, it would hook into my thumb,
Yeah.
and then I could.
Yeah, or like,
Someone-
like Rob
some-
makes a lot of, I'm sure, like his own dollies and
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen
know,
that
hammers.
so much.
Yeah, like
So when
things
you're
like
gonna
that.
make custom tools, what do you make them out of? You never make them out of Snap-on tools. No, types are always made out of some
Okay.
junk.
I'll go to Princess Auto buy a brand new one there.
But
Make your own tool,
weld it up, bend it.
Yeah.
You're never
So-
doing it with a Snap-on.
so it's
one.
like if you ask the question, like, do you only need to buy Snap-on tools? No, man.
No.
You should buy some junk ass tools too,
you need at least
because
one
if you
good set
need to
of junk.
modify
Sacrificial
one of them,
lamb.
Sacrificial.
you're not gonna do that to a
We got a
Snap-on.
whole drawer of special tools.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I know. I've seen the drawer, and it is actually very cool.
Yeah.
The amount of things you come up with.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of history there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you should suggest those things to Snap-on.
You know, get some
dough.
get paid,
Some
maybe.
extra money.
Get some custom one-off Snap-ons.
I know,
That'd be-
right?
That'd be sick. Yeah.
That would be pretty awesome.
There's one very special custom tool in there from a previous employee. Brett knows who it is.
Oh,
So I got handed down a wrench set from my grandfather. So it was
Okay.
like
That's cool.
kind of a very special thing. It wasn't super high quality. It was nothing like Snap-on, but it was a decent brand. Anyways, I leave one day. He's working on the shop van. He comes back. He's just so proud of himself. I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "You know, I was working on this thing. It's in a super bad spot. We didn't have the special tool for it.
No.
So I made one.
No.
He's like, "You're gonna be so proud of me." I was like, "Oh, cool. Let's have a look." Pulls in my wrench out of my grandpa's set that he had cut and bent and welded. And I'm just like, "No!"
No.
Yeah.
been any other wrench.
Yeah, it could have been any other wrench in the
no.
building, but he had to find that,
That is
one.
a disaster. What happened after that?
Surprisingly,
He doesn't work for us
he
anymore.
doesn't work for us anymore.
No, but that was probably not the reason though. That he
No, that wasn't the reason. But
Definitely check the
surprisingly
box.
enough,
Oh, man. Well, that one hurts. Man.
Yeah. Wait, what
Yeah.
did you say?
Oh, anyways, I was going to say Greg and the intern showed up, and he happened to have the same brand,
Oh.
same era.
Okay.
So I got that wrench back.
Well,
That
thank
may- but
goodness.
deep down, you know that
I
it's
know
not
it's
the
not
same
the
brand.
same
Yeah.
fraud, but I mean,
It's
it's
not
still
the same.
filled the set out.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Sorry, just drinking
what's
water
up? Got you
here.
there,
yeah.
yeah.
Tim and I have had some pretty good success
Yeah,
using
good luck with
Princess Auto
paint guns.
gravity.
Yeah.
The nice thing
Or
about them is
siphon
you don't
feed
have to
paint
clean
guns.
them.
Or
What's
you
a
can buy
gallon
one
of
for
acetone
$1,200.
cost?
No, I got mine for $6.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
$6?
Yeah, on Harbor Freight they have like
Yo.
Black Friday deals, freaking, or they have some deals every month.
Yo, that's
$6 is awesome.
I would say that one is disposable.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
it's
sometimes I buy
it's
shitty
fine,
tools. I'm like,
though.
"Oh, $6, I'll just.
I actually did that one time.
I'll just
I
buy
bought
it.
a
Give it to the
super-
scrap guy.
I think I bought like a $12 paint gun one time, and I used it to spray Plasti Dip.
Oh,
Because like
that's
you buy
not bad.
Plasti Dip in like a gallon. It was like the worst decision
you
I ever
didn't
did in my life.
you didn't clean it after, or
No, I threw it right in the garbage.
why? It was
Because
so
it was
bad.
junk.
Okay.
Well, $1,200 to $6. That's a big jump.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's got to
Yeah.
be something
You
You got
inside.
to question why.
I'm
You got
sure
to
there's at
question
least one
why.
reason to throw it in the garbage. Yeah.
Nah. Yeah, I guess.
I'm sure Brett would lend you a gun, Elvis. Don't worry.
I know. I don't know.
He's
Probably
like,
not.
That's crazy. No, but for that, I mean, you're a painter, so I understand that part of why you invest so much.
How's that any
into-
different than being a mechanic, though?
I think it is a little bit different.
It's not.
because
It's almost
with
exactly the
paint,
same.
you have
Okay,
to
if I rolled up and I had a full set of Princess, or better yet, I pulled up with one of those suitcase things, the blue one, like click, click, like I'm here to do your job, what would you do? You wouldn't leave
Let's
your
do
Ferrari
it.
with me?
Oh, I will.
No.
That's the best gun to the door.
You're too nice, Elvis. Come on, let's be real. You'd
If
be
they know
you'd be
what they're
pack that
doing,
shit up and beat it.
I don't look at brands. Like if they know what they're doing, then
How do
sweet.
you know?
You know.
Like, what do you use as a gauge?
you probably
Are you gonna?
Astro man at the door.
Yeah.
no.
With the paint system in the back.
No, you can probably tell. Like if you're getting them a mechanic, you've probably already seen their like reviews on Yelp or Google reviews and all of that stuff.
I don't know, man.
Like,
That's
oh, this
only
is
you.
awesome.
No,
For the most
I don't
part,
believe
they're
you.
accurate, and I haven't had any bad luck with it. So I don't really look at tools, even if you had a $5 wrench set.
I don't
But
believe
you show up to fix
No.
any car. I'm like, yeah,
You're
go
showing
ahead.
up to fix a car. I don't think you fix cars. You're just going somewhere to just a mobile mechanic.
Yeah, if you got to go to where the work is, you're
Yeah.
probably not that good to start with.
Yeah. Mobile paint guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've seen those guys.
So like for paint gun stuff, what differentiates a $1,200 gun from a cheap one like that's $10 or $6? What's the main thing?
Oh, well, I mean, probably first off would be like the overall design of it. The basic appearance of it, just looking at it, is much more appealing as an expensive gun than a cheap gun. You look at a cheap gun, it looks cheap, feels cheap. All the nozzles and the knobs are loose and rattly, and they're just not accurate. And they don't
I'd say
do
precision and
precision.
Okay, precision. Okay.
atomization. is
Well,
the
yeah,
key part of it.
atomization, that gets like deeper into it. It's like those are the main things that you use a paint gun. It's like the atomization of the paint.
I'm done. No more for me. I'm good. But yeah,
You might start telling
that
the
makes
truth
sense.
if he gets too much of that.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the atomization, the way it sprays, the adjustability, all those different things make a big difference in a
Okay.
expensive gun to a cheap gun.
But you have to admit that if you cruise into the shop and it's full of snap-on stuff, you're gonna have a different impression than if you roll into. I can name a bunch of names if you'd like, but I know
Oh
only-
gosh, no. No. Now, yes. But again, like some of these people have no idea what tools are. Like for example,
No, everybody knows what snap-on
I
is.
think-
I did not know what
Everybody.
Snap-on was.
I
Yeah,
feel,
I
I
feel
feel
like
like the colors Snap-on offers, you can tell it's high quality. Like, look at like
green, blue.
I got a gloss white toolbox. What kind of mechanic shop has a gloss white box?
You can just spray it.
You could.
It's not that easy. You could, if you're a painter, to have a more expensive gun. Paint jobs are almost like a one-time thing. You don't want to redo them, right? To have a good gun, to know what you're laying down is a one-time. It's gonna be good. It's reliable. I think it's really important for specifically
Very true.
paint,
Yeah.
right? Whereas like tools, okay, if I have a shitty tool, I'm like, "Fuck, I'll go grab a better one.
Yeah.
That's applicable, but not applicable to paint guns. I'm not gonna go get a better gun halfway through. You know what I mean?
No, and also
Yeah.
paint's very expensive, like we talked about in the paint
Yeah,
episode.
exactly.
How expensive base coat is.
That's
how,
true.
Like clear coat, you can get away with some imperfections and this and that because you can wet sand buff and all that. But if you don't put the base coat down properly, and there's no going back from that.
Yeah,
And like there's always times where like even with a good gun, the paint job can go sideways.
Yeah.
Again, that just comes down to use, right?
Yeah, but then there's like a noticeable difference. Like even like because I would say that you're a really good painter now, Brett, and like if you go from gun A, which is kind of like your sort of middle ground sort of gun, like what you were kind of using as your workhorse forever, and then you upgraded to like a more elite sort of high end gun, automatically. It's like you're not just a better painter automatically, but that just the equipment itself, you put out a better job.
Yeah. No, it's very true.
Instantaneously.
Yeah. No, you can.
So
you
there are
can feel the
certain things
difference
that
when
are
you're
just
using-
worth investing in.
You can feel the difference when you're using a good gun compared to a little bit of a cheaper gun. Like there's like good cheap guns, and then there's just complete cheap garbage. And then there, there's like you can do good work with a cheaper gun, but like he said, when you have an expensive gun, it makes it that much better and that much easier to get a better finish.
Yeah.
So like and then you use your skill on top of a good gun, you get a better product.
Yeah,
So-
and I'd almost say that like the job kind of dictates the choices as well. Like you don't need to use an elite level gun on every single job. Like you might be able to, maybe the job doesn't justify that. Maybe you're spraying, single stage epoxy primer, or not single stage, you know what I mean though, like an epoxy primer. You don't need to use like some super elite gun
Because there's
for that. Because you're going to be working it all, right after you spray it. As soon as it's ready to go, you're going to be sanding it. You're going to be doing all kinds of other things.
Yeah.
You don't need that. But it does help.
Yep.
So it just depends on the job.
Yeah. But again, it's one of those things that can speed up processes when you're done what you're doing. So if you spray primers with a good gun, you get a better finish.
Yeah.
Then when it goes out the booth to get blocked sanded or this and that, if it's laid down smoother and flatter, it's going to sand faster, which again saves shop money. So it's like another thing with a high quality gun versus a cheap gun.
Yeah, and
cheap gun, I don't care if you're the best painter in the world. A cheap gun, you still will never be able to spray as flat and smooth as a good gun.
Yeah,
It's just not going to happen.
And I think like a lot of that kind of stuff, like, you know, customers that have been, you know, having things built by people more than one time, they, you know, they kind of recognize this and they see what you're using and they automatically know that you take yourself more seriously, and they can almost expect that the finished product that you're going to be supplying them is going to be a higher level of quality anyways, just because of that level of seriousness that comes along with it. You know.
Sweet.
So.
Anything else?
Buy Snap-on.
Again, this is not a Snap-on commercial. Like we're not being sponsored by
on.
Snap-on.
We
wish we
the
were.
greatest common denominator of all the best shops in the world is Snap-on.
But I can almost say
So
this.
if you
if you
take yourself seriously, nobody else is going to either.
Yeah.
I can almost
this-
say this for
that's
every
it.
single one of us sitting here is we've all used really shitty, cheap tools.
Yeah, we've all been
because
there.
that's how we started. Like I was using stuff like my grandpa's stuff back in the day when I first started mechanicking at home on my own cars before I even worked in a shop.
Yeah.
And I was using like just random stuff that was really, really old stuff. I mean, you had to make it happen. You had to make it work. Like you would, again, make random tools to like push pistons in on the caliper. Like I would, you know, you'd have to get creative, like, and do all this weird stuff. But now there's all these different tools for this stuff that are just such high quality that I have so much respect for the brand.
Yeah.
But now,
Because
can you go
I've
back
done
to
it.
that?
No, I couldn't go back to it.
Right?
Like
You know how many times I walk and grab a screwdriver and like,
No, a regular screwdriver.
like I've
I'll walk over to my other box to get a Snap-on screwdriver.
had to
Like
I've had to
super
do it a
tool
couple
snob
times.
now.
Yeah.
I've never used a Snap-on, like, what's it called?
Ratcheting screwdriver.
Ratcheting screwdriver ever, but it just, the idea sounds amazing though.
Like
Okay,
I've used
they're
the cheap
super
ones.
nice.
Oh my
See, I got a cheap one like at home in my drawer, in my like knife drawer. I have a cheap DeWalt one. And it's like for around the house to tighten doorknobs.
Yeah, it's like
and
shit
shit.
But you put it
Buddy,
in
it's
and
the
you
worst.
undo the screw and then redo the screw.
It's the worst. But you know what? It's one of those things where it's like I can get the job done.
Yeah.
I can make it happen, but I'm just like the whole time I'm like,
Just, yeah.
That's actually a thing. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm doing anything at home, like I got a like one of those Canadian Tire Stanley kits at home. Like they're on sale for like 97% off.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
those are the
It's
moments
like
that you realize how good Snap-on is when you're using that.
Exactly.
Up
That's
until then,
so
you're
true.
like, oh, whatever.
Stuff humbles you.
And then you try to use it, and you're
oh
like,
my god.
click, like, oh.
I'm like helping
Or
my
when the
mom,
bolt's
like,
right
fuck.
at the point where it's like you can't quite get it out with your hand, and you got to use a ratchet.
Oh,
the Snap-on
yeah.
one, it'll sweep. You get the Stanley one, it's like put the bolt in,
No,
take
no.
the bolt out. Put
Yeah,
the bolt in.
yeah,
It's like, come on,
I actually
man.
get choked. Like I'm
I'll
doing
get
like some
mad.
plumbing for my mom, and I'm like, the whole it's easy, and I'm like just using these Stanley tools, like whatever I found in the garage. I'm like,
Yeah, it's like you're like,
pissed off for
you're like,
no
this is
reason.
bullshit, man. I don't even want to be here right now.
Yeah.
I
It's
had-
the
Take 5
easiest thing in the world
minutes,
to do.
not
You know it is.
Yeah.
I had a situation one time where I had to take a wheel off my car, and I was at my grandparents' place, I think, and we got cheap tools there, and they're like, it gets the job done, whatever. And all I had was a 3/8 drive regular size ratchet to take my wheel off.
Oh, it sounds like
So
Put a pipe on that.
and it was like I think it was like a Mastercraft or something, and I was like, and the wheel was super tight. Whoever had put it on prior, like, definitely over torqued it. So I grabbed a bar and I put a bar on the end of this thing, and I went like this, and it literally snapped all the teeth out of the ratchet. And it actually hurt my hand, like my wrist, because of the snap. And I got so mad, I took the ratchet and I threw it up the alleyway in the backyard.
Somebody out there listening or watching is probably like,
Yeah.
buddy, you're not supposed to use a 3/8 on a fucking.
Well, that's all I had. You gotta do is emergency situation.
sometimes, yeah.
Emergency
You're expecting too
situation,
much,
no?
man. You're expecting too much.
Well, I didn't have my
times you don't
half-inch
have
impact.
Snap-on at home, but
Yeah.
all you're thinking about, if I had my Snap-on tool,
My wrist would hurt.
and it, wouldn't, and it probably
right now,
very
right?
likely wouldn't have broke. And if it did, they'd repair it for you.
They give you a new one.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know what happened to this. I
I don't know.
Creates ratchet doing a fucking center lock or something. Pipe on it.
So that alone
Not
is
one
worth
of you guys
buying.
can tell me right now that you haven't done that before.
Yeah.
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 I got a
Cheap
funny
mass
story
cross.
about Snap-on. Like one early on, it was like probably when did Too Fast Too Furious come out? Like 06?
Yeah. 03 or 04.
Was it that long?
Because the original one was 2002.
Okay. So I was like probably elementary school still, and like there's a scene where in Too Fast Too Furious, Paul Walker's first walks through Tej's garage, and he's walking through the shop, and he's like, "There's this," and he's like, it's all Snap-on tools.
He says it.
There's one cameo that I've only ever seen in a movie
Interesting.
Snap-on
Okay.
makes, and he's like, "Yeah, it's all Snap-on tools in this garage."
Oh, shoot.
Snap-on, that looks sick. I was literally like grade 2 or
okay.
3 at the time,
Yeah.
but that's still to this day.
Stuck with you.
Yeah, because I'm like,
Okay.
this is sick. Snap-on. Man. Like,
So
that's
product
crazy.
placement, they got you.
Yeah.
See, right
Oh,
away,
yeah.
you can do awesome stuff with Snap-on.
Yeah. If he was like, "Yo, it's Mastercraft," and then I grew up and I'm like, I'm using Mastercraft. I'm like, "Yo, what the is this?" I'd be choked. But I totally understand. Like, but that's just a little funny story. Like this little Snap-on cameo that I seen.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
awesome.
sure there was a reason that cameo
Existed.
was in the movie.
Yeah.
They weren't talking about Stanley, Harbor Freight, none of that, right?
No.
So
Best of the best, man.
That's
In
pretty
the first
awesome.
movie, didn't he have a pipe wrench or something in his hand? In
I
the
think so.
garage
I
scene?
remember that. Yes.
was
Yeah.
it Snap-on? What?
No, it was like a sledgehammer or pry bar
Yeah, it
or
was
something.
big. Yeah.
In the first one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
where he's like, you can't find the right tool in this
Oh,
garage.
yeah, that's
but he had like
Mr.
a sledgehammer.
Like a super engine bay with a sledgehammer. Like, what are you doing there?
He's trying to hit the starter or something.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And again, the advice that they give us or you guys is buy Snap-on tools.
Buy quality
start-
tools.
No,
No,
not necessarily
don't start
Start
with
with
Snap-on
garbage.
tools.
Start with garbage. Make sure you want
Yeah,
to do
so
your career
you
first.
gain an appreciation for Snap-on.
Okay, and then you
Don't-
graduate to
Make sure you
Snap-on.
bust all
Don't
your
invest-
knuckles, bust all the tools, then buy Snap-on.
Oh, okay.
Don't invest $50,000 into your toolbox and then decide to trade.
But go to like what we were talking about earlier. Like I literally, in my first very first before the first year of my apprenticeship, I literally went to the flea market and like I'm shuffling through
like,
this
old Snap-on
Hobo's
stuff.
socket bucket, and I found like this old 70s 80s Snap-on
Nice.
sockets, and I literally went to my Snap-on dealer and it's split. I'm like, yo, it's broken.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, but you can't
I'm
even
like,
go to
wow,
pawn shop.
man.
Pawn shop is still like 90% of the original value.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Find
that's
something
true.
else that's like that.
That's crazy.
You go to a
That's
pawn
true,
shop
actually.
to try to get a socket set, it's like $20 less than brand new.
That's crazy.
Because they know.
Because they know.
They just literally know, what it's worth, right?
Yeah.
So it's worth paying for.
It's worth paying for. And if you're an apprentice starting out, go find all the broken Snap-on you can.
And if you're lucky,
Yeah.
you'll get the ratchet.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I still have those sockets to this day fresh.
Don't tell them we sent
Fresh,
you.
man.
Yeah.
So
Buy the socket, a 3/8 ratchet, and a ratcheting screwdriver first.
That's-
You need
that's
those
good
two
advice.
things.
yeah, and then everything comes afterwards.
You can
I
get different
started-
wrenches, you can get different sockets, but those two, like quarter drive ratchet, 3/8 ratchet, and a ratcheting screwdriver.
Must have.
I was
Must-
lazy.
those are
I
the
started out
must-haves.
with
Yeah.
one of my very first big Snap-on purchases was my quarter drive cordless ratchet, the electric one. That one was I was lazy.
Yeah.
from the start, but I invested and I'm like I still have it to this day. And
That's
it's sick.
awesome.
It saved,
That's a good
made my
tool.
whole apprenticeship a little bit easier. It's already hard as an apprentice, but you're not struggling with the Stanley bullshit or
Yeah,
anything like
and
that.
swearing half the time.
Yeah, just
Yeah, that's a good tool.
it's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It makes you enjoy it that much more. Makes you
Yeah.
stay with it.
And it's a flex. I think that's one unsaid
Yeah.
thing so far. Snap-on is a flex.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like,
It's like
what's
a
up?
Gucci sweater right there.
Bro, this is the most expensive sweater I
Oh
have.
shoot! I just realized you had a snap-on
Yeah, this
sweater
is literally
on.
the most
I didn't-
expensive.
You can't even buy that. You gotta
Oh
spend.
my
man,
You
god!
gotta spend to get that.
Yeah.
You can't buy that.
You fucking buy
Remember
it,
he
but
said
it comes with
gloss
like tools.
white toolbox.
Yeah.
You gotta spend like $12K to get one of those.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, talk to you guys later. Have a good week. Bye.